This anime tells about a male student named Sable studying at a magic academy. He is considered a gloomy child and has very unpredictable thoughts. He is often the subject of discussion at his academy because he always gets the lowest grades. One day, Sable was called by the head of the academy to her room. While walking there, he ran into a woman named Rue Christes. Even though she looks like a child, she is actually a witch who has lived for hundreds of years. Then Rue fights with a security guard in the form of a Tom Fox named Hold'em because she tries to use students to meet the head of the academy. Not long after that, a woman named Albus, the head of the academy, came out of her room. When she saw Rue, she was surprised that Rue could infiltrate her academy. Afterward, Albus allowed Sable into her room to give him advice. She orders him to take special training to develop his magical abilities. Since the mentors were sent home, Rue would be his replacement. Besides Sable, 2 other students will be taking special training, a woman named Hort and a male lizard named Cude. When everyone gathered, Cude said he didn't need a mentor and went straight to his destination with his 2 friends. While in the horse-drawn carriage, Sable gets motion sickness, so everyone finally decide to get off before his condition worsens. In the evening, he tells Rue and Hort something about his life that feels empty. He had no memory before entering the Magic Academy, so he decided to become a witch because he had no other goal. But his current situation is not supportive. He almost failed to become a witch because he did not have magic power. The next day, Cude's 2 friends gave the news about Cude, who was going alone. According to information, he abandoned his 2 friends when they were attacked by a man named Bogyaku, a thief. Hearing this, Rue felt odd about why Bogyaku was only after Cude. According to her, Bogyaku were not thieves but a very dangerous group of witch hunters. Having allowed him to move separately, Rue felt responsible for saving Cude. She would deal with it alone and forbade the pre-students to come with her. Despite being banned, Sable and Hort still want to help. After Rue left, Sable and Hort secretly went to the forest area. Meanwhile, Cude, who was being targeted by Bogyaku, was in a desperate situation. Despite being able to recover, his strength at that time was not strong enough to fight Bogyaku. Cude could only be silent and resign when he was dragged by him. Moments later, Rue managed to find Cude's position, which Bogyaku was carrying. Using Luden's wand, she could corner the enemy's position until Bogyaku was annoyed. At the same time, Sable and Hort arrived where they were. Suddenly Bogyaku took advantage of these conditions to take them as hostages. He asks Rue to give up and gives him a wand. Luden's wand is dangerous because it can absorb magical energy and kill anyone who touches it. Only the person who signed the contract can use it. Since the situation was chaotic, Sable decided to use the wand, resulting in a large magic explosion. It turns out that he has unlimited magical abilities on him. Using Luden's wand was tantamount to suicide. Rue scolded him and the others for acting recklessly. Even though the previous incident was very dangerous, they could figure out why Sable couldn't use his power. Rue said his magic energy was limitless, so it was no wonder he had difficulty controlling his power. After that, she ordered Cude to come with her. But because Cude was badly injured, they couldn't continue their journey for a while. To heal Cude's hands and tail again, Rue told him to use Sable's infinite healing power. Thus, he can recover quickly so they can continue their journey back. After that, Rue and the others continued their journey. Because she was already known by many people, Rue always received a warm welcome from the people she met. Whenever they found someone in trouble, she would let the students use their magic power to heal that person. Moments later, they hide with a small child being chased by criminals. With a keen sense of smell, the male tiger man named Yoi could find them easily. Rue tried to attack Yoi from behind, but he defended as if he didn't want to attack her. It turns out that he is a mercenary tasked with returning the little boy back to his village. Because his goal has been achieved, he wants to make peace with Rue. After Rue and the others arrive at the village, they meet a male priest named Shinpu, who realizes they are students undergoing special training. Since the current ruler was in the hands of the invaders, he ordered them to return to their original place. After all, no one else in the village could guide them. Hearing this from the treetop, even Rue couldn't believe his words. She had to enter the training village to confirm the truth and see the residents' reactions. Since the place was too quiet and no one wanted to deal with her, Rue believed Shinpu's words a little. Therefore, she decided to fight Albus and attack the person who had captured the village. With that incident, she felt she had been played with, so she felt irritated and annoyed. Sable said something to the others. He feels they are unaware of their arrival because Shinpu just let them into the village. As long as Rue and the students were around, Sable felt confident that they could all fight against the invaders. But his words spark an argument with Cude, who doesn't agree with his proposal. Because if they fight with their current abilities, it's tantamount to suicide. Sable didn't mind it. He planned to keep fighting even though his life would be threatened. His words made Hort touch and cry. After that, she went to church to pray for her mood to calm down. Not long after, she was approached by Shinpu, who suddenly attacked her. At the same time, Sable is looking for Hort's whereabouts. After he can't find her, he invites Ru and Cude to look for her whereabouts together. As the three of them dispersed, the enemies began to appear one by one. Cude was blocked by Yohei, while Ru and Sable were blocked by a female witch named Zero, who emerged from the cave. It seemed that Sable had met her because she said that he was a special young man. It turns out that Zero took power in the village so that she could meet Sable again. Therefore, she volunteered to guide him and promised to always care for him. If Sable wanted to join her, then no one would be able to harm him. Because Zero has done evil to his friends, Sable refuses her invitation. Instead of joining the evil witch, he chooses to fight despite his abilities not much. Since Sable can't control his magic power yet, Ru decides to absorb his magic energy through a kiss and use it to attack. But at that time, her power was useless because Zero already knew her weakness. After Sable refuses, Zero explains that she is the one who has created magic and wrote Zero's library. Since she was the one who created almost all the magic, then no one would win against her. Luckily, she was not serious when fighting them. She only pretended to be a villain to test the students. After all, Albus was her old friend. Zero and the other villagers had teamed up to test the special training. Thus, they can also pass the test. In the evening, they celebrate their graduation with the villagers. At the same time, Zero explained the purpose of the special training. She said everyone had worked hard to get the trainees out of the academy, but they thought Sable and the others were superior. To prevent any destruction, every time there was a talented student like them had to undergo special training. They will be tested for their true nature, and if they fail, they will be expelled and even erased. In Zero's judgment, Hort had strength comparable to Albus. In the next 10 years, she will have enough power to destroy thousands of soldiers. On the other hand, Cude's talent is far more frightening. He can become an immortal witch if he uses his full power. While Sable has unlimited magic, in the next hundreds of years, he will become a witch who can live long, and in that long life, he has the opportunity to learn scary magic. Moments later, Zero turned the conversation towards training. All students are given 3 days to prepare their own shop. Meanwhile, Ru took advantage of the situation to read various books at Zero's place, but the real reason was that she wanted to keep an eye on her students. Since Zero almost lost her magic power, Ru had expected her to use Sable to become her magic supplier. Each student learns to manage their tavern to become a useful witch. As time passes, they get used to living in that place, but Sable still can't blend in with the surroundings. He just spent time indoors while helping with homework. Therefore, Ru encourages him to run activities outside to interact with many people and help his social life. Shortly after, Sable meets with Hort. It seemed that an unexpected incident had occurred. When she was on duty with Yohei, she accidentally attacked him using her magic. Knowing this, Zero tried to heal the wounds on Yohei's body, but her strength was ineffective because it was no longer what it used to be. Then Sable comes to be Zero's magic supplier and transfers his magic through kisses. Because the previous work didn't go well, Ru allowed all the students to take a vacation. On that occasion, Zero took her time to meet all the students in Zero's library. There, the library was nothing compared to the forbidden library that wasn't on the map. In other words, no one will be able to get there if they don't know how to enter. Hearing this, Hort looked very enthusiastic and said that she wanted to go there. Zero said that the library is a very dangerous place. Instead of talking about things that are not certain, Zero will give a special lesson first. Since an incident had occurred previously, she didn't allow Hort to use her magic until she could control it well. Initially, they could undergo the exercise smoothly. Hort, who previously couldn't control her strength, can now use a spell so that her strength doesn't hurt her own friend. She can quickly master it thanks to Zero's easy-to-understand learning. But not long after, suddenly, something unexpected happened. When Zero explained how to apply power, she fell down because her magic power was weakening. Seeing this, Sable tried to recover it, but he had difficulty transferring his strength. This causes Zero's body to weaken until she is unconscious. Sable asked other friends to bring food to Yohei's place while he carried Zero's unconscious body. Arriving at home, he took care of her and waited for her. Luckily, she soon woke up and could sit in bed. At night, Sable decides that he wants to become a great witch like Hort and Cude. He requested that they both teach and train him how to release his magic power. In exchange, he would supply energy for the two of them. Hearing his request, Cude felt it was okay with it. In fact, he felt strange because Sable didn't ask for it earlier. Since the three of them were talking about magic, Hort asked him something. Since he can transfer his magic power through a kiss, she is interested in trying it. Because the timing was not right, Sable ignored her request. Not long after that, Bogyaku came. It seemed that he was indeed looking for an opportunity to kidnap Sable. While he is being kidnapped, he regains his memories of his childhood. A person after his power not only has bad intentions towards him but does vile things to his family. After keeping that in mind, he could now understand the dire consequences if one received too much power. He can kill someone if it gives his power beyond the limit. Moments later, Hort and Cude came to pick up Sable. They both did a combination of attacks to free him. He took advantage of the opportunity by threatening his opponent and saying that maybe he could kill him in the blink of an eye. It seems that Bogyaku is not afraid of Sable's threat. He even launches a much more brutal attack on Sable. Bogyaku continued attacking him, causing him and the others to lose consciousness. At the same time, Zero and the others came to save the three of them. After Sable regains his memory, he fears his powers will spiral out of control like they used to again. Therefore, he met Zero to consult and learn to supply power. Because he has regained his memory, she tells the origin of his family. 13 is Sable's father and also Zero's older brother. Infinite magic possessed by Sable was all planned by 13. By combining the blood of 13 and Sable's mother, 13 can get offspring with unlimited magic power. After talking about this, she began to teach him how to transfer his magic power. In a different place, a young man named Caddy, who came from Anti-Witch, had made a fuss by attacking Cude and Rue. Caddy is no match for the two, but it has sparked debate because the perpetrators are still children. At first, Yohei was going to seek information by torturing him, but after seeing his condition, he even hesitated. Some witches feel sympathy for Caddy. They will interrogate him without resorting to violence. It turns out that Shinpu can interrogate verbally, even if he can get an accurate answer from the facial expressions and emotions of his interlocutor. Thus, they can get some information. After that, they discussed what to do next. The next day, Cude invited Caddy to go around the village. Cude wanted to show him that the village he attacked was not a place for bad people. Caddy said that he had always thought witches were a vicious group of criminals. But after traveling with Cude, Caddy realized that he had been lied to by an anti-witch group. Caddy can trust witches more and no longer has a bad attitude toward half-animal humans. After practicing, Sable showed his ability in front of his friends. It seems he can control his magic power better than before. He asks Rue for help to improve his new ability. She would help him, and she had been looking forward to the development of her students. At the same time, Sable suddenly confesses his feelings to Rue. He said that he likes her and wants to be her partner. This made her feel strange and confused when facing her own student. Bogyaku and Caddy were used to living a peaceful life in the village. They both wanted to spend time with Cude and Hort to accompany the children in the village to play in the river. Caddy asked why they pretended to be nice and even trusted a traitor. Cude replied that he never trusted anyone. Hort chimed in that it was not easy for her to trust someone. Even though she still doesn't trust Bogyaku, their relationship has improved, so she asks Caddy not to hurt weak people. If Caddy can keep his promise, they promise not to kill him, but his promise could not be kept. Shortly after arriving at the river, something strange suddenly happened to Caddy's body. His body is like being controlled by a monster, then the monster comes out of his body and attacks the people around him. Hort and the others were forced to fight him and finish him off. The students were ordered to return to the Wenia's Royal Academy in the evening. According to the information circulating, the village would soon become a battlefield. Sable and the others protested against the order as they wanted to help and increase the defense as much as possible. Zero said that if the decision had been given, they would be expelled from the academy if they didn't comply. He replies that it doesn't matter if he has to be expelled, but if he is useful on the battlefield, he wants to be recognized again for his achievements. Sable plans to fight the enemy by using traps. He proposed setting a trap to knock out multiple enemies at once. Currently, Zero has prepared magic potions for use on the battlefield. The rest just need to make traps as needed. To carry out his plan, Sable needs a trap made by Bogyaku as the main key. Meanwhile, Bogyaku, who is used to being a criminal, feels doubtful because, lately, he has someone he wants to protect. According to Shinpu, the number of enemies they would face was 10,000. If the witches killed them all, then the people out there would think that the witches were the villains. It seemed that the enemy had planned this. No matter how many soldiers they would gather or how strong the fortress they had built, the other side was already prepared to kill them. But all the witches could prepare was a trap not to kill their enemies. Therefore, to protect the witches' future, Sable decided to share some of his power with Zero. The enemy troops were exposed to various troublesome traps when they entered the forest area. Even though their bodies had been badly injured, they were able to recover quickly because the witches had prepared healing potions. They seemed to be played with as well as forgiven by the witches. That way, the 10,000 troops can be defeated. But there was one clever unit that could bypass all the traps and move on with ease. They were the half-animal mercenaries in the demon army. They weren't an opponent to beat with a small group. In addition to their strong physical abilities, they can use a lot of magic without stopping and casting spells. Shinpu and the others began to enter the battlefield. They eradicated the demon army reinforcements with extraordinary combat abilities. The next day, Sable and the others team up to protect the village from an animal army attack. They perform various magic attacks to paralyze their enemies. Then Cude healed every enemy who was seriously injured. That's how they managed to weaken the enemy's mentality to stop attacking. However, one of the demon armies was very difficult to defeat. The demon was able to recover itself quickly despite Yohei's constant attacks. At the same time, Zero showed her magic power. She deliberately used terrifying power and intimidated everyone. That way, the war could be won by the witches. They managed to thwart the plans of the anti-witch faction who wanted to bring down their good name. Since Sable and the others had contributed greatly, they deserved graduation as outstanding students from the academy. This is the end of the anime. The moral that can be learned is not to stop doing good things even if someone stops it, because doing so will give us a lot of happiness in the future.